Hi everybody, right, okay, today we're going to make a tart citron, basically a lemon tart. It's quite a stable, classic dish that goes on a lot of menus, and you can generally find the quality of the place, particularly the pastry section, and how good their tarts are, particularly a lemon tart. Absolutely one of the all-time classics that goes on to many menu. Okay, so to start with, what we're going to do is roll out our pastry case. Okay, so I've already made the pastry, so if you go onto one of our how-to videos, it will show you how to make the sweet pastry. So this is sweet pastry or pâté sucre. And it's used basically for all things pastry-wise from a sweet tarts point of view. Okay, so I'm going to start off with basically just lightly dusting my bench. Okay, the reason I'm doing that is I don't want my pastry to stick. And I'm only doing a tiny little bit of flour because I don't want to change the recipe of the pastry. So if I want more flour to it, the tighter the pastry will get. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to make my first roll. Then I'm going to make a quarter turn. Okay, so this is key when you're doing it, is every time you roll it, a nice quarter turn. Okay, so you can see as my pastry is nice and sharp, there's no breaking around the edges. Okay, so I roll it through, and every now and then, if it looks like it's going to stick, we'll just do a really light dusting of the sort of flour. Okay, so roll it, turn. Okay, little quarter turn each time. So see if it starts to catch like that, we're just doing a tiny little bit of flour just to stop the pastry from sticking to the rolling pin. Okay, if it starts getting larger, you see how I wrap the pastry around the rolling pin, and then that allows me then to basically move it quite freely. Okay. Take it through, put it down. Now, thickness wise, what we're looking for in our tarts is nice, crisp pastry, but really quite thin. Okay, so when we bite into it, we get a really nice centre on the lemon tart, and the pastry really crisp and really nice. Okay, so once we've rolled it to the thickness that we want, I now have my pastry ring. Okay, and I'll put that onto the tray, because when I line it, I'm going to then put that back in the fridge. Okay, the reason I'm putting it in the fridge is because basically with pastry, it's made of flour. Flour is gluten. Okay, so as you pull gluten, it sort of like acts like elastic and sort of goes back, goes forth, and is sort of like really springy. So what we're going to do once we've rolled it is leave it to rest, so the glutens go nice and soft. Okay, so the pastry, the tart, case into the middle, and I'm just going to layer over the top, and then we roll it across that pastry. Okay, so and tart. Right, this is the key part. So as we lift it up, we then work using our fingers, working around the case. Now, some people say that their fingers are too warm to work with pastry. So what I find sometimes, if you just use a little bit of the pastry itself, then that can then just help you work it into the corners of that pastry. Okay, I prefer to use the back of my finger, and so it works like that. Okay, so as I then get the pastry into the case, as you can see, I'm then using my forefinger, and I'm just going to work that pastry down into the corners, because what I'm really looking for is a really nice sharp edge, so almost like a 90 degrees. So as we cook into our pastry, it really holds really well. Okay, so what I'm also looking for is I don't want any splits in my pastry, because if I have splits, basically as I fill my lemon tart with basically the custard mix, it will fall and it will just sort of split on me, and it will sort of run out the edges. And then finally is that case. Okay, so one simple, easily lined pastry case. Now, you'll also notice that I'm keeping the pastry over the edge. I'm going to take them to the side, and the reason I want to do this is because as I bake my tart, I want to leave across the top of it, so I can fill it. I can actually get a better fill, and it'll feel nicer. And then when it's baked, I'm just going to slice around the edges, and I'll finish it on this top. Okay, so what we're doing with this now, this is going to go in the fridge. So we're going to give this a good 15-20 minutes in the fridge. The reason that being is I just wanted the pastry to rest and be ready to go. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so our pastry tart has been in the fridge for about 10-15 minutes. The reason, like I said before, we put it in the fridge just to give the glutens in the pastry a bit of a rest. So you know what elastic, as it pulls it, and just let it rest down. So hopefully we don't get any shrinkage. That's not what we're looking for, okay? So my tart, making sure there's no cracks, which is quite nice. So now we're going to bake it through the oven. So it's going to bake through 180 degrees, and we're going to give it a good bake for 15 to 20 minutes. So before we bake it, because we don't want it to rise, we think when we fill it, we want that really nice sharp pastry. We want to keep the pastry nice and flat. So a little bit of crisp paper. So make sure that goes all the way through to the top. I have just some basic rice. You can use the little baking balls, whatever you like. I use rice as well. Tell you what probably does work really well, which is copper coins, because it really sort of like distributes the heat. But to be fair, filling this up with pennies and 2 pennies, it's either expensive or a pretty waste of time. So we have in there our rice in our paper, and now I'm going to bake that 180 degrees. I'll use for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Okay, so while that's baking, we're then going to make the fill ready for the lemon tart. Okay, so we've had the case baking in the oven now for 20 minutes. So I'll get that in the oven, have a look. Okay, so when we look at our pastry case, I'm going to remove the rice. With the rice from it. Okay, so quite handy to have that grease-proof fill over the top. So basically you can then just lift it up, take it from there, and then what you find is you've got no sort of rice left inside. Okay, so now we want to seal it, because as I'm going to add in the filling, it's got like custard, it's going to be quite runny, so we want to make sure it seals. Okay, so in here I have just egg yolk, and I have a little bit of vanilla bean as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is give this bit of a good, nice little paste all the way across, and this acts as its sealant. It will sort of seal the pastry, and that will stop the custard from actually soaking into the pastry and making the pastry more soggy, because we don't want the soggy bottom. We want it nice and crisp. And we've got the sides as well, so if there's any areas that we look at that might need a little seal, hopefully it will do that for us. And what you'll find as well is, because the pastry is quite hot, and egg sort of like cooks quite quickly, it will sort of like seal it very, really quickly actually, because it cooks at such a low temperature compared to everything else. Okay, so as I go around, something nice, and then sort of the vanilla in the egg just gives the pastry just a little extra sort of flavour to it as well. And we go all the way at the top. Okay. Around and make sure my pastry is well sealed. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in the oven, and I'm going to put it in at about 120 degrees. Okay, so I've reduced the oven down from 180 to 120, and the reason I'm going to do that is because with the egg custard that I'm going to put in, so the lemon custard, it needs a lower temperature to cook. Because if the temperature is too high, it will souffle on us, and it will sort of won't work. Okay, so lowering. I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes now, just for the eggs to cook and to seal. Okay, next thing we do, while that's cooking, we're going to make the filling. So the filling, what we have here is double cream. So I want to bring that to the boil. So while it's going to the boil, we then need to create the rest of the mixture for it. Okay, so what we have here is our lemons. So we'll start with our lemons, and then what we're going to do is we'll squeeze all of those lemons into the bowl. Okay, so put those in. So we just want the lemon juice and what about the seeds, because we're going to pass them out. Okay, so right. Okay, the cream is on, goes to the boil. And the thing is, probably make this like now, because the mixture is going to be hot as you pour it into the tart, it'll actually cook quicker as well. So you can make this in advance and it'll be cold, but just remember it will take longer for it to cook, because you've got to bring it up to the temperature. Because it's got the heat on there already, it's already started to sort of cook out a little bit. Okay, so we have our lemon juice. Okay, so in there, our lemon juice and our lemon seeds. So we have the sugar in. We make like a sort of lemon and sugar mixture. Okay. Right. I'm not going to add the eggs to it yet, because if I add the eggs to the lemon will have a tendency to start breaking down the eggs, which we don't want to do. Right, okay. So we'll wait for our cream to come to the boil. So, and then what we'll need once we're ready is we will need our strainer thing, and we'll also need our blowtorch. What the blowtorch is for, so as we mix it, what you'll find is we'll start creating bubbles across the top, which we don't want. What we want is really nice thin surface. So we'll sort of blowtorch that to get rid of the bubbles, and then when we pour it into our tart, we'll then blowtorch it again, just to make sure all the bubbles leave from there. Okay. So, my cream's come to the boil. So, I've got my sugar, I've got my lemon, I've got my eggs. My eggs go in, and then we'll start mixing them together. So we're making that sort of lemon. Okay, so mix all that together, nice and smooth. And like I said, when I add the eggs onto this cream, it's too hot. There's potential to start cooking out the eggs, so be able to get quite scrambled eggs, which we don't want, which is as far away from a lemon tart that we actually possibly require. Okay, so we'll take our tart, place it into the oven, and as you can see, the egg is cut, is completely set. We'll take it from there. Okay, so cream boiling. We're going to pour that across the top. Give that a really good whisk as we go. Okay, we'll bring in all that together. I'll start to make it a nice egg custard. And then what I want to do, pour that out. I'm going into my measuring jug. Just make this easier for me to pour. I'll go straight to a bowl. Now I've got a nice fine sort of sit there really, and that's purely to make sure that we get a really nice fine custard in there. Okay, I don't want any of those seeds. Okay, trick. So my top case was sealed. And just get this through. Do the ladle. The ladle makes my life a lot easier. And then, so helps the mixture to come through a lot quicker. Now you see how our mixture is nice and smooth. There's sort of like no bubbles into there whatsoever. Okay. No. It smells really citrusy. Right, okay. So any of the pip, the seed will take out, any of the seeds, and then what we're left with is a really nice citrusy custard. Okay. So we're happy with this. Okay. Right. Okay. So you think I pour the custard in here and then take it to the oven? I'm going to do the opposite way. I'm going to put the tart back in the oven, then I'm going to pour the custard in. And then what I will do is to make sure that we have no bubbles, using the blowtorch, just go across the top. If any of the bubbles come, just disappears. Right. So, tart in the oven. Pour the mixture in. Okay, no bubbles. And we're going to give that 40 minutes. Okay, so we're giving the tart about 40 minutes. So we'll have a look. Look in the pot. Yes. Okay, so tart down. So what we're looking for is that little wobble. You see how it's a little wobble as we go through. So we know it's set in the middle. And what we're going to do now is leave it to cool. 15-20 minutes. And we're going to trim up the pastry. And then we're going to put the tart and slice that. Right, okay, so I've taken off the outside of the pastry. So just using a sharp knife, just trimmed off the outside of it, which then just leaves the tart left in the case. So hopefully, loose bottom, should remove the bottom, put that onto that, ready to go. There we have our lemon tart. Okay, so this is all ready now, so whether or not you want to decorate it, citron across the top of it, chocolate, we can slice it with a nice little slice, blowtorch the top of it, a little icing sugar, caramelise it up, and serve lots of things from like raspberry sorbet, which goes really well. Nuts goes quite nice. What I'm going to do is serve it up with is poached cherries and sea salted pistachio nuts. Okay, so that is our lemon tart.